We're down here in Des Moines, Iowa at the Crime Stoppers International 29th Annual Training Conference, and we've got the legal advisor for Canadian Crime Stoppers, Mr. Robert Gill. Mr. Gill, you just gave a presentation to a room full of people from around the world on Crime Stoppers. What was your key messages?
The key message is that when a caller calls into Crime Stoppers, they know that they don't have to reveal their name. They've been given that assurance before they make the call. The justice system stands behind a promise that they're never going to have to be identified other than in very narrow legal circumstances. The justice system gives Crime Stoppers callers a privilege, a right that their information will not be revealed so that they will never be identified. What we want to do is we want to protect our callers from any fear that there may be some retribution from a person who is accused of a crime because of the call that they make. And the whole principle behind the Crime Stoppers program is that we are going to protect our callers in those sorts of situations. We stand behind that promise, and the course I gave this morning primarily to Crime Stoppers coordinators and other police officers dealt with the nuts and bolts of how we actually make good on that promise, the legal tools and the evidentiary procedures that are available to make sure that people are never identified.
You do amazing work. I understand you were legal counsel on a very important Supreme Court of Canada decision.
That's right. That was a case called Liepert, and that was a case in the late 90s where the Supreme Court of Canada recognized the work that Crime Stoppers does, recognized that callers who give information to the police through Crime Stoppers are entitled to the protection of the law, the protection of this police and former privilege.
I understand we've gone to text messaging tips, and Canada plays a big role as a result of your hard work on the Liepert decision.
Yes, and the text messaging tips are being received through technological innovations which ensure that when a text message is sent in, all of the identifiers are stripped out of it so that the person sending in the text message tips to Crime Stoppers, if they use the correct formula and the correct address, are not going to be identified. They're going to be just as anonymous as the person who picks up the telephone.
5 words or less. If you're a person out there that has information about a serious crime like a murder, trust Crime Stoppers, or what's your advice? If
you have serious information about any serious crime, if you have information about any serious crime, call Crime Stoppers and call now.
And your anonymity?
Your anonymity, we will go to the wall to protect your anonymity through the justice system and the checks and balances that are in place in the justice system to protect your anonymity as a caller. So call Crime Stoppers.
If there's anybody in the world that's in the media that needs to speak with you as a person on this subject, how can they get in touch with you?
They can certainly get in touch with me through my office in Victoria, British Columbia. I can give you my email address. It's rgill@clay.bc.ca.